Today on the MotoMan podcast, we're sitting down with a man who studies attention like a language, and in doing so, not only helped transform this show, he helped translate positive messaging and personal growth into the TikTok-crazed world of today.
I had notes upon notes upon notes upon notes. I took notes every day for hours.
Because for him, creativity wasn't optional, it was survival.
By the time I was like 17, I've been kicked out more times than I could count.
That kind of start doesn't give you patience, it gives you urgency.
I stopped allowing myself to be treated as like the side character or an extra to my own movie. And I treated myself like a main character.
So when he builds, he doesn't guess, he sets a standard.
I gave myself the quota of 5 because I'm not where they are, so I have to outwork them.
Read Choi, the man who turns chaos into a playbook. Reed.
George.
I think we need to get something out of the way right at the top.
Okay.
You are not a car guy.
I am not.
You are not here to talk about cars.
No.
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 Now that we got that out of the way,
Yeah.
let's tell him why you're here.
Please.
So you and I,
Uh-huh.
we have become very good friends.
Yeah.
Actually, recently, like over the past year or so.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think people know about you is like you're Mr. Shorts creator.
Okay.
You've become a thing. I mean, even my nephew knows who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize.
I didn't know who you were.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's happened now is I've learned a lot.
This is a great start to an interview.
It is.
I didn't know who you were.
I didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
I didn't do shorts.
Right.
And that's kind of the point of this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Because after I got to know you, I'm doing shorts every day.
Yeah.
And I kind of hate you for that.
Really?
So let's step back.
You're doing well.
I am doing well.
Yeah.
I'm kind of killing it. Like
Yes,
the numbers
you
are
are.
ridiculous.
Yes, you are.
In a very short period of time, it's like a lot.
Mhm.
But that's not why you're here. Let's tell them how we met. I think we should start there.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell us?
You
want
tell
me
the
to
story.
Okay. Yeah. So we were.
I'll pop in where I need to.
Yeah. So I was in Newport Beach, and I was meeting up with a pastor friend of mine at a cigar lounge in Newport Beach.
That already sounds like the beginning of like an Irish Catholic joke.
I think he's Irish, but anyway, so we're talking, and in comes this, I mean, pretty big group of people, all dudes, all in nice cars, and they all decide to sit right next to me or in front of me, right? And funny enough, while I was talking to this pastor, you and another mutual friend of ours, Terry, sits next to each other, and this was one of like those Holy Spirit things. I just had this inkling in my head. I was like, I think God wants me to give these two guys a cigar. And so I haven't talked to you at all my entire life. And and the first thing I said is like, I'm sorry, but would you guys like a cigar? And you guys were like, what, really? And I was like, yeah. And so I give you guys cigars. And then that opened up conversation, and you know, God works in threes. So what are the chances that a content creator that lives in the same area, that is also a Christian, meet at a random cigar bar
50 miles away.
50 miles away?
Okay, flip side of the story.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to go to that cigar lounge.
Oh.
One of our group said, I don't like that cigar lounge. He got vetoed because I like that cigar lounge. We roll in, and it was packed, which it normally isn't. And the only seats available are the ones by you.
Yeah.
And while you were having, obviously, a discussion with God, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. So I'm talking to my friend Terry, okay? And Terry, I mean, if you guys knew Terry, man, Terry, he talks loud. Yeah, we love Terry. His car is very loud, too. And this is after we did a whole like Cars and Coffee down at South Orange County.
Yeah.
And so we walk in there, and I couldn't help but overhear you and this guy. I didn't know he was a pastor at the time. You're talking about scripture and religion at a cigar lounge. And I'm like, wait a minute. Is this? And I kind of leaned over, and I didn't want to look like I was eavesdropping, but I was. And I basically heard what I heard. I couldn't believe it, but I still didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to interrupt your conversation. And you're the one that came in and said,
Yeah. Excuse me. Do you guys want to?
couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so the conversation, so we start chatting.
Yeah.
And then you ask me what I do for a living and what I do.
Oh, yeah. Lion tamer.
I'm a lion tamer.
Actually, when you said that earned a lot of points with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't tell people I'm a lion tamer, but I tell people that I work at McDonald's.
So back in the days when I was on the pro, shall we say.
Yeah.
I remember like living in London, especially like women there, they would do this like credit application for it. Like, oh, where do you live? Like, what's the postcode? And like, what do you do? Obviously, with my very, very West London accent, they're expecting like finance.
Mm-hmm.
So they would say like, what do you do? And I'm like, I live in Croydon. Like, Croydon, what? And then they would say, well, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a plumber.
Mm.
And they never quite got it.
Yeah.
So that's where the lion tamer, because the plumber wasn't believable. The lion tamer is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I went with that one.
Yeah. You had the whole, what is it? You had the name of the lion?
Oh, and I got it down.
Yeah.
I alternate between lion tamer and I throw the midgets from the trapeze at Cirque du Soleil.
That's it.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you touched on it, that you were surprised that you saw two people talking about theology in a cigar bar. But in my experience, I've had more like spiritual talks with belief than without it.
I can't say that's been my experience.
Really?
No, I will tell you that I don't want to talk about specific. So we're going to talk about a couple of churches here, but I don't want to bring them up by name.
Yeah.
A church that I was very involved with up until recently, we had a men's group. And I will say that we introduced cigars to the men's group, but it didn't come as a result of talking about faith. I to be honest with you, even with that group, we never really did talk about faith. We just had cigars with priests. That's been my experience.
Really? Okay. To me, like, reasons why I will, at least right now, never bash cigars is because there's nothing else in my life besides just going to church that has been more spiritually conducive to my spiritual health than cigars.
So I'll something similar.
Yeah.
The fact that you mentioned health and cigars, obviously, for those of you that are not following, we're both Christians and we both smoke cigars.
Yeah.
So get that out of the way.
And smoke regularly together.
Regularly. We are a member of the same cigar lounge.
Yeah.
And we actually go to the same church now.
Yes, we do.
We go to church together.
Are you going to tell that story or no?
I guess we can tell it. Yeah. Well, not the whole part.
Well, it's a pretty story. I like the story.
It's a good story, yeah. I smoke cigars for the same reason that I ran marathons and do kickboxing every day now. It turns my brain off for an hour at a time.
Yeah.
And the beauty of smoking cigars with you and we've got this group now, and it's a religious group. It gives us the opportunity to slow our brains down and actually think about life.
Unless we're playing Monopoly Deal.
Monopoly Deal. I wasn't going to tell him about that bet. Can I just say Monopoly Deal? Excellent game.
Do they know that you like Monopoly?
No, they don't know nothing.
Oh,
they don't even know that I collect Monopoly.
So they don't even really know you.
No, they don't. They know that I drive a Cadillac now. That's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, by the way, you're welcome. I could have brought Eva, but I brought you the Cadillac. I brought you Thea Christine.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. So one of the things that's interesting about this cigar lounge, like you, me, and like two other people who also religious, we do this. Well, I'll let you tell them. What are the three things we do when we get into these groups?
Are you talking about our meetings?
Meetings, yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of stemmed from when we first started talking. We would usually be talking about business and like updating each other on what's been going on, what strategic moves that we've been making. And I wanted to implement the group in doing that dynamic. And was it because it was the new year that we were doing like the resolutions and then that moved to a dream meeting stuff, or?
So there was this original discussion of, okay, let's kick off the new year and let's talk about goals, and people do resolutions and that kind of stuff. And I came to you with, well, I kind of do this already with a class that I teach at church where there's 3 different types of meetings, and I'll let you tell them what the meetings are.
Yeah. So there's the dream meeting, there's the dream meeting, the budget meeting, and then what's the last one?
The planning meeting.
The planning meeting.
Yeah.
And with the dream meeting, it's basically, that's when you tell each other, and was it from you that we divided it up into like relationship goals, business or career goals and stuff like that? Okay, yeah. So there's different tiers that you're supposed to like dream on, in was it by next year, 5 years, or 10 years?
But that's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So if the viewer wants to do it from 10 years and 5 years,
no, but we did 1 year.
We said
1
and 5.
Within the year we want to achieve X, Y, and Z. So that's the dream meeting, and then I feel like the planning meeting goes after the dream meeting, right? And then we budget it, because how can we
think
budget
of it
that?
as a matter of fact like airplanes? You're flying at 50,000 feet. That's the dream meeting. Then you want to get into the pattern, or you want to get into the controlled airspace. That's the planning meeting. So how do you go from, like in your case, give us like something you want to share that was in the dream for this year, because you got a lot going on this year.
Yeah. So the last time we talked about it, I think it was taking my aunt on a trip, and so I did take her on a trip to Hawaii.
Como soon, she's awesome.
Yeah,
Love her.
Yeah. And so that was, at first it was just like, I want to take my aunt on an all expense paid trip, X, Y, and Z. But because of it, I was able to specify where I wanted to go. Took her to Hawaii. And how much I want to spend and budget X, Y, and Z, put it on the calendar, and then finally did it. And probably one of the most rewarding things I did in my life. And she had a blast. A lot of funny stories there, but yeah.
So think of it as the best way to eat an elephant. You're not going to go there and just eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're breaking it out.
Unless you're Cody.
Cody, we don't want to talk about it. Actually, it's funny is the audience knows about Cody.
Oh.
They've seen his car.
Yeah.
They know his story. He was an intern of mine 16 years ago,
Okay.
and now he's a Lamborghini.
Yeah, we love Cody. Yeah, Cody's killing it. I love Cody.
You love Cody.
I love Cody.
Now we all love Cody.
Yeah.
Think of it as it's putting some structure to life, because a lot of people, they kind of get deer in the headlights when like they have this big gnarly goal, and it can't translate from the gnarly goal to the realities of life. So by breaking it into 3 pieces, yours, I think there's some other large goals you've got. Maybe we won't cover them here, but
Like what? Like the acting stuff?
yeah, you're talking about some of the things you want to do in your acting.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a good point where we transition and like, tell us your story, because you got an interesting story.
How early do you want me to start? Like,
Go back to probably formative years.
for like childhood?
Like teen.
Teen. Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah.
He's a special child, isn't he?
So, I mean, how heavy can we get?
As heavy as you want, man. That's why you're here.
Okay.
You're an inspirational guy, and I wanted to share you with the audience, because I'm giving away the plot here, but you've been dealt a lot of challenges in life.
Yeah.
And at this point, you provide a lot of inspiration for millions of people a month.
Yeah, I hope so.
And there's something to be said about that.
I'm Korean American, so I grew up in a Korean household. And with Korean households, abuse is pretty common within Korean households. But I definitely, amongst even my Korean friends, I definitely got kind of like the worser end of it. And so I grew up in a fairly physically and verbally abusive household. And I also got kicked out a lot when I was a kid. And so by the time I was like 17, I've been kicked out more times than I could count, So I was, sadly, I was used to, if I were to be homeless, I kind of knew what to do.
I got to ask, I mean, granted, I can't say I had a puppy dogs and roses upbringing, but I never got kicked out. Is that something that was like you say, was common in Korean households.
Getting kicked out, that wasn't common in Korean
Like,
households.
so you're not
But
your
getting
your
beat.
Korean friends weren't getting kicked out.
No, I was the only.
Okay, so this is, we call it what it is. It's highly unusual.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah, I got kicked out as as a toddler and stuff like that. But anyways, and 17 was the last time I got kicked out, and that was also the longest stint I was ever homeless. And then I was able to get access to my bank accounts and stuff like that, and so I saved just enough money to last my last year of senior year in high school,
Living on your own.
living on my own.
Like, you rented an apartment, or you lived?
Yeah, I rented an apartment that was probably the size of that office over there.
So like 250 square feet.
Maybe smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds bad, but it was also for the first time in my life where I didn't feel the oppression.
And CPS didn't come in and say, what's going on here?
Well, you got to call CPS.
So no one ever called?
No one ever called CPS. No.
Wow.
And that's actually common in Korean households, just, keeping in the family type stuff. Right. But it was the first time in my life where I didn't feel this oppression or having to worry about how I say anything or how I move or if I make a sound that's too loud. And so even though I was trapped in a cramped room it was the most liberating moment in my life. And just how freedom, or when you have complete liberty, there's a lot of fear in that too, because now you're free to make your own choices and stuff like that. And it was at this point I realized that I was really far behind my peers, and in a place that was also kind of my fault because I didn't apply myself. And so I read as much as I could, voraciously, as many books as I can, trying to catch up with my my peers. And from then on, I stopped allowing myself to be treated as the side character or an extra to my own movie. And I treated myself like a main character. And I think from that point on, from 17 to where I am now, I really applied myself and tried to work as hard as possible and also be more effective in how I'm trying hard. And so I became a straight A student, went to UC Berkeley, and graduated with honors. And
how does a kid that doesn't have a home finance a university education?
Oh, I got a free ride. So first I didn't go to UC Berkeley right away. I went to community college. And while I was there, I was in their honors program and signed up for, if there was a scholarship, I applied, right? And so that altogether allowed me to get a free ride to UC Berkeley. I just had to pay for housing.
So work ethic was a thing. That was instilled in you from an early age, it sounds like.
I had a weird work ethic. If it was something that I was interested in, I could draw for 8 hours a day. I could practice piano or guitar for 8 hours a day. But if it was something I didn't like, I had no work ethic at all. Where I got my work ethic is after I became homeless, I needed to get a job. And one of the jobs I got was at this two-Michelin-star kitchen. And it was the first time in my life where I actually had to work really hard. I remember showing up 9 a.m. to do prep, and then service at 5 p.m. So you're doing prep from 9 to 5, and then you start service, which ends at 11:30, and then you're cleaning till 1. And then I remember first day I came back from a shift, and I fell asleep before I hit my bed. And that work ethic and working there for 6 months, I did that when I was 18 to 19 years old. And so when I went to university, after doing that 6-month stint of working that hard, I just had this unfair advantage against all the other students because I was willing to work so much harder than them.
So are you aware who else had the same kind of advantage from the same school, shall we say? Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, really?
He was kind of I don't want to say he was like a screw off, but he just didn't take life seriously. He was from kind of a wealthy family. And then he had to work in a restaurant. It wasn't a Michelin 2-star restaurant. It was a dumpy restaurant in a New England holiday town. And man, oh man, it changed his life. It sounds like it changed your life too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But we also, pain recognizes pain. And I think it's because when people deal with the hard stuff in life, there's really only a couple of ways to react. And so you can see it in other people. And so in each other, we find that.
You can definitely see the code in the Matrix.
Yeah.
I saw it in you, and it sounds like you saw it in me as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I've got disparate folks in my life from like different pockets of life. And it's funny, the people that are closest to me, the thing that's very consistent is they kind of saw a need in me that I didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
That's been an unusual lesson in life for me.
But don't you think it's because they've also have gone through it?
I didn't know at the time. I mean, I got to be honest with you. It wasn't until my 30s that I started to understand this. It sounds like you matured a lot faster than I did. I think you had to mature faster than I did.
I don't know if I matured faster than you, but I did have to mature pretty fast. But I was also really lucky. Like you have a Big Rob, right? That's his name, right? Big Rob?
Oh, Big H.
Oh, Big H.
Big H.
Like you have a Big H.
West Big H.
I have a Ron.
Amen.
I have a Ron.
Ron, yeah.
That when I was 17 and 18, kind of took me under his wing, but also like just crazy how God works. He went through the same thing that I went through at like the same exact age. And so whenever I had a question about life, he was like, oh yeah, it's blah, blah, blah. And I had the answer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Big H was that.
Yeah. See?
100%.
Yeah. And there's no way I'd be where I'm at if I didn't have answers to those questions at that age. Because if I didn't have answers to the questions I was having then, I think I would have just imploded.
Good. So at what point does the military become a thing?
Right out of UC Berkeley. So after I graduated, so when I was at UC Berkeley, I started, there's a culture of entrepreneurship at UC Berkeley. And so it was kind of a trend. So I just started my own thing. And I remember walking back home after finally starting my business and picking traction. I kind of looked ahead, okay, this business does well. What happens? You make money. Great. You buy some stuff. You get a wife. You have kids. Is that all? It just seemed empty to me. I was like, there has to be more. And at the same time, I was listening to podcasts and stuff like that. And the military came up. And I was like, oh, yeah. I think a lot of people can look at my life and see how all the struggle that I went through, if I had resentment, I think people could understand. But because of all the struggle that I went through, and despite all that struggle, I was able to make it out okay or even good on the other side. I think that's a testament to the country that God allowed me to be born in. And so I felt a sense of gratitude. Like if I was impoverished somewhere else, I don't think I could have, had the same result. And so I felt this need to give back. And so the guy that I was listening to was in the Navy. So I was like, all right, let's do the Navy.
So let's say 3 lessons you took away from the Navy. What are the 3 biggest lessons?
The first one, and this sounds really cheesy, but there are parts of the training where I had to kind of say like, okay, I'm either making this training or I'm going to die. So it's like, where quitting is just not an option. It's just, you're going to get through it or you're not, or you're just going to die. And then the second one, and it's probably bigger than the first one, it's just brotherhood. Just like there's this kinship, automatic kinship when you meet a service member, even if you guys didn't serve together. If someone tells you that they served, it's just, oh, okay. That there's this ride or die mentality that just comes like innate, that I have been searching for my whole life. Like one of the more distinct memories that I had was when I was in training. I remember looking up and seeing all the people in my unit And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was surrounded by people that were like me. And I didn't have to have all these conversations explaining why I think the way I do, because they already think that way. And that was like a breath of fresh air. And then third is just SOPs, like standard operating, so two is one is none. It's just like having these protocols in place so that you can get out of your own way and just focus on the damn thing.
So it sounds like I'm a big believer in having some of the journeys that I've covered and some of the people that I've met. God kind of sets you up.
Yeah.
He gives you tools, but you don't get them all at the same time. No. It's like you can't walk into Harbor Freight, Sears, whatever it is, and get every tool you want.
Mm-hmm.
You're limited by a budget. And I think your budget is life lessons.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you got this life lesson from having no option, no place to go when you were younger. Then this, I'm going to work circles around everybody at this pretty good school. And then this military piece, which I think putting those together, I have a better understanding now why you're successful in the media world.
Mm.
So bring us to the media world now.
Yeah. So I kind of came to the same conclusion. So I got separated for a heart condition in the military called LQTS. It's a heart arrhythmia. They thought I had it. I don't. I got the genetic testing done. Out of 1,000 possible genomes, I have 0. So I definitely don't have it. So I'm safe. But that's why I got separated. And it was the first time in my life where I have ever begged with tears in my eyes for anything. I was begging the doctor to let me stay. But anyways, I got separated. And so now I'm like questioning God. Like, I thought this is what you wanted me to do. I thought this was the purpose of my life.
And let me interject a little bit.
Yeah.
Were you a religious kid? Like, was Christianity, God, a thing from zero?
From 0, yes, but I lost my faith at 17 when I got kicked out. And then I would gain it back in the military.
A lot of people see Jesus in the military.
Yeah. Okay, so I was separated, questioning life. I was about to re-enlist. Corona happens. Re-enlistment gets shut down. And so now like it feels like God just closed every door. What am I doing? And now I'm alone at home, going crazy. And I decided I need something to do or I'm going to blow my brains out. And so I start making TikToks because that was like the big thing back then. And at the time I was using Vine compilation videos to help me go to sleep. So I was like, okay, I can do this. And in 10 days, I got like 10,000 followers. It was weird.
In 10 days?
In 10 days. Yeah, I'll never forget. 10 days. I remember I was going for a run and I was just picturing in my head what it would look like to have 10,000 people just staring at me. And I was like, I think you're onto something here.
But what were you doing?
I was just making stupid videos. But I was
stupid videos like what? Like I got to be honest. I mean, this is our age difference talking.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound horrible, but I call it autism theater. I don't understand shorts. I do it very effectively now. But I do it which is we'll get to how you have shaped this. You are kind of like the behind the scenes strategy master of MotoMan TV shorts. However, like, did something pop into your head? Like, I'm going to start having two sides of the same conversation and we'll show it to people?
Well, you actually kind of touched on it. The fact that parts of my life were leading to this. So when I was 18, the reason why I started doing the chef job is because before that, I thought what I wanted to do in life, my dream that I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life is I thought I wanted to be a male model. And I thought that for years, but I never pursued it because I would always make an excuse. You're too young. You have braces. You don't have a car. I would get older. I would take my braces off. I would get a car, but I would keep pushing the goalpost back until when I was 17, I was like, screw that, live your life. And I started being a male model. 6 months later, got my first gig. I'm a professional working male model. And I realized it bores me to tears. I hate it. I hate taking photos. And so I realized I needed something intellectually stimulating. That's how I found being a chef, because I wanted to learn how to cook, but also I knew that the best way to learn any skill is to have high stakes.
Wait a minute, I got to interject here.
Yeah.
I got a bone to pick with you at this point.
Yes, sir.
So he just had a big birthday. We all went, a bunch of us, whole friends from college, me, a couple of other friends, went out to Hawaii. Who did all the damn cooking? Yeah.
It was my birthday.
Yeah, but you should do the cooking.
Who paid for the Airbnb?
You did.
Yeah.
Who paid
for the rental?
Who paid for the Delta flight? Me. And why
That you flew on.
Why are you wearing a Delta?
I'm so glad that you asked. Okay. All right. I've been dying to tell you this. Okay. So I wore this specifically for you, but there's a really cool story behind this. So I
realize I'm a United guy.
Yeah.
I still call it Continental.
But you'll be happy about this. So I take an acting class right now, and in the acting class there's a Delta pilot, and once he told me that, I was like, this is gonna sound really cheesy.
Yeah.
But ever since I was a little boy, I have always wanted to ask, like, go up to a pilot and be like, can I get your wings?
Got to do it.
But as a kid, I was too scared, so I never got to do it. And so even as an adult, when I walk past or see a pilot, I'm like, dude, that's so cool. I want his wings. But I finally, he gave me the wings, right? And so he pinned this on me, and he gave me this, which I want to give to you. I don't know if you know what these are.
Oh, the trading cards.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take that. Dude. It was worth having you on the podcast for this. So this is a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know until he gave it to me.
And this is an A350.
Mm-hmm.
So I cheated on United for a year. I was a Diamond Sky Miles. And I got to tell you, I mean, there was things that were good there and things that were bad there. I got to only fly the A350 with them once. But I got to tell you, this is a damn good card.
Okay.
It's got it looks almost like the metal.
Yeah.
Vielen Dank.
Yes.
Shukran.
Dankeschön.
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah.
I have a
because I knew you'd appreciate it more than I would.
I've got a Turkish Airlines model of A350 in the hangar.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, thank you for this.
Yeah. I knew you'd like this more than I would.
Yeah, you got actually, you know what? Remember I told you about the men's group from the old church?
Yeah.
One of the members of that men's group, not Greek, Delta pilot.
Oh.
You know, shout out to Scott. He's 7576 captain and basically does Hawaii turns. Tough life this guy has. Like, guess what I want? I want to fly $200 million jets out to Hawaii and hang out.
Yeah.
I want to be like this guy, because these guys, they fly 10 days a month. They make like $600,000 a year. Left seat in a plane like this. It's a good gig. Anyway.
Well, he does really long flights to like Australia.
Well, he's flying this then.
Yeah.
So this guy is in an acting class and he's flying A350s.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's an older guy.
You got to bring him by the line. Well, yeah, of course he is flying this plane. Anyway, so that
stud.
I'm sure he's flying an A350. What do you expect?
Yeah, he was in the Navy for 15 years. That's
was he flying F-15s or something?
Yeah, F-16s and something else. But yeah.
All of us here at MotoMan are super excited to not only have the podcast back, but for it to be its own show. And there we look to you for a little assistance. Can you help us grow the show? Two really easy ways to do that. First and foremost, if you're reaching out via YouTube or other streaming platforms, you click on subscribe, notifications, or more importantly, share these episodes with your friends, especially on Reddit. Now, if you're downloading these episodes, listening via podcast platforms, we'd ask you to rate us. The good stars are wonderful, but leaving a written review would be even better, especially sharing who was your favorite guest. So with that, I am incredibly grateful for your assistance in help growing this. And now, back to the episode. So, okay, back to your story here. So, you got all these life lessons. All the tools are now in the box, ready for, frankly, I think an inflection point in social media. You're not the only person who told me this story. Forrest Jones, good friend, also a Christian. Forrest Jones, almost identical. That part of how they got to that point is different. You two went totally different journeys. He's very close with his family, married, kids, way more responsible than you and I put together. But he too was sitting there in 2020, looking at his phone, doom scrolling like, oh my God, this is a waste of time. But there's something here. And now he too has crazy millions of followers on it.
Oh, yeah?
So was there something about TikTok in particular that stood out?
At that time, yeah.
Like, you saw the code in the Matrix and so did he. Say, I didn't. What was it?
well, I don't know why more people didn't. I think a lot of people did figure it out. It was Corona, right? And
No. Let's be clear.
okay,
I'm gonna embarrass you a little bit,
okay,
and I'm gonna give you your props where your props are due. People might have figured out, oh my God, this TikTok thing is gonna grow.
yeah,
But the only people I know, you and Forrest, personally, figured out how to make it work for them.
oh yeah, that's a different beast.
Like,
yeah,
you got this. I mean, I've watched some of your videos, and you do this thing where you talk to yourself. Like, you take both sides of the car, and it's funny.
yeah,
And other people try to do it, but it's not convincing. Like, I buy it with you. Forrest has this thing where all he does is he points his finger around the car. It's literally your it's like, where's Waldo? Where's Forrest? That's what he does.
yeah,
6 years later, everybody's following it, and no one wants to watch those guys. They want to watch Forrest.
yeah,
So there's something you and Forrest figured out, not just that it's this lightning in a bottle here, but I'm going to make the lightning strike in my bank account.
yeah, yeah.
What was that?
Um,
What was that moment?
honestly, I've told you this before. I was looking at content creators that were doing it right, and I had notes upon notes upon notes upon notes. I took notes every day for hours. If I wasn't filming, I was taking notes. I was studying viral YouTube videos, why I thought YouTube videos were going viral, or why this short went viral, and then by studying these content creators, one of the things I realized that like the most successful ones post about 3 times a day. So I gave myself the quota of 5 because I'm not where they are. So I have to outwork them.
You can outwork them, yeah.
Yeah.
Circles, run circles around.
Yep. And it was a 5 minimum. So there were days where I did 7, 10, etc., but 5 minimum. And you kind of touched upon it. Like I made it happen, They say like success is like a combination of luck and preparation, right? And I wanted to make sure I got the preparation down.
I found this interesting, and it applies. I don't care. This was probably the case back in when Jack Warner was running Hollywood, and it's the case today. It's the 80-20 rule. I would argue today it's more like 95-5. 95% of the people understand the show, 5% understand the business.
Mm-hmm.
And you're part of that 5% that understands the business. And that's why only the 5% successful and 95% isn't.
Yeah. I posted 5 times a day, every day without a break for 3 years. So to me, that's my 10,000 hours. Like, that's where I pay my dues.
So now let's get back to the creator's dilemma.
Okay.
So I would say you probably did more than the 10,000 hours. I too have done more than the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, no doubt.
At some point, you get to people who are not creators, what I call the civilians. They don't understand the creator's dilemma, in that it's almost like a grind. You're doing it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And I want to believe in this thing called a work-life balance, but it doesn't exist. The reality is that
Not for us. No.
I don't think for anybody. I think there are people who live to work, and there are people who work to live. I think you're fooling yourself if you think you can ever arrive at this magical work-life balance. I've been doing this for a long time. I was very successful in the tech world. I've been successful in this world. The people, if you want that kind of success, it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no shame in working to live. And frankly, I'm kind of jealous of it. There are times I just want to decompress and not have to worry about the camera's doing this, or we were just screwing around with the sound. It had a feedback thing. So for you, what is the creator's dilemma? It's different for everybody.
I mean, you kind of touched on it. It's kind of like, I mean, I hate to get deep, but the reason
to get deep, we've been doing it for almost an hour.
The reason why you and I are such control freaks over our own lives and our own work ethic and stuff like that is because we came from a background where we felt like we didn't have any control. And so we overcompensate by trying to work really hard and try to have control over everything. It's a
I didn't know this was a
coping
therapy
mechanism.
session.
But do you agree?
100%.
Yeah, well, at least it's for me. It's a coping mechanism for how chaotic my childhood felt. And so trying to have this semblance of sovereignty over one's own life. I think that's why you and I have worked so hard to get to a level of comfort, but also kind of just freedom. You know, I think it's why we value freedom so much, because we know what it's like to be stripped of it.
That's why I'm so focused on not being in debt.
And I also think it's why, and it's one of the things I admire about George the most. It's, I don't know how to say it I'm trying to make it YouTube friendly, but you have like a, you know, the FU. Can I say that? The FU?
Well,
The screw you mentality.
I'll have Emiliano bleep it out.
The screw you mentality.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this guy on so many occasions, not every one of which was warranted, but I've seen him stand up for himself and draw lines in the sand saying, this is my line, and then being cross, him saying screw you. And it's one of the things I admire, and as I've said that I admire about you.
Never be afraid
times.
to walk away.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I think that's a great strength.
Thank you, brother.
No. But it's funny because at the same time, you can bleep this out because this might be too personal.
Okay.
But like, you do that, but also what you want most in this world, or one of the things that you want most in this world, is you want to say that to someone that you care about, say screw you and walk away, and then you want to hear them say, no, screw you, you're not going anywhere. You're staying right here. You know what I mean?
That's why I bought that car. I'm serious.
And was that to you?
That was Aunt Christine.
Really? Do you have a story?
I got a million of them, but they all kind of end of, and this Emiliano's going to have to bleep out, you're not going nowhere. You're doing what I'm telling you, whether you like it or not. That was Aunt Christine.
How old were you when you heard that?
Oh, started at single digits, went into teens. Yeah. I mean, I told the story in this episode how she marched me in my first job interview. I didn't know I was going on a job interview. She says, get in the car, we're going somewhere. She threw me into a hardware store, go apply for a job.
So she kind of saved your life then.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My father died when I was 9. He was the only person that gave a shit about me. And my aunt was the other. That's it. And then until big age.
Yeah. See, I'm the same way. I have this, because it's almost like a test. Like when you push people away to see how much does this person really care about me?
That's where we disagree. I do not, like, I had a boss when I was in tech, my first like real startup experience, very talented engineer, very talented. And he borderline visionary and was able to do the dream and the planning, but the man couldn't land a plane at all. And he used to do the shit test stuff, and I hated it. That's why I don't do shit tests. That's why sometimes sometimes I put myself in a bad situation because I'm trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And that's where I've learned, I've been using it a lot in my episodes as of late, the gift of clarity. I do it a lot more now.
Is that the same thing as the screw you thing?
No, very different. Gift of clarity is you're avoiding getting to that point. The gift of clarity is saying, these are my boundaries. These are my parameters.
Yeah.
Kind of unsolicited advice I'll give here. Great book, one of my favorite books ever, Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud. That's how I learned it, from that book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. By drawing that boundary, saying that, or that's the screw you, the boundary, this is my boundary type of thing. And then what we both crave is someone still staying there instead of just leaving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but more often than not, they usually go.
They usually do or don't?
They usually leave.
Leave, yeah.
I don't know what your experience has been in life, but when I was younger, of course you had these like, screw you, I'm going home kind of Cartman things. Don't ever darken my doorstep again. And then you mature and it gets to like, you just don't return calls. Yeah. And my experience in life is, people evolve, change, move on, whatever. And it's rare that someone stands there and says, I'm here. Thick or thin. Or what do they call it nowadays? The kids today call it ride or die.
Well, that's what I say. My ride or dies.
Ride or die.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I would like to see from you is you trying to be actually, well, no, you do kind of do it, but
Again, this wasn't supposed to be a therapy
more
session with me.
like
This was
more
your story.
more of the glue, you know, that the reaching out. But I do think that you do that.
What? The glue?
Yeah, I think you're a good glue.
In our group, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so-
definitely more of an organizer, but you definitely force people together, you know, in a good way.
well, in fairness, Rye Dog's the organizer. We said we wouldn't mention him tonight, although we're very excited because he's about to lose a bet. We won't tell everybody what the bet is, and we get not one but 3 Caniac combos from Raising Cane's, paid on June 10th.
Can we talk about the coronation?
Coronation of what?
The photo of your dad?
You know, that's a good example of who you are, actually.
Okay.
You know, tell him that story.
Okay.
Yeah, tell him
So
that story.
yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I know about him, because I went through the same thing when I was a kid, is that Father's Days, Mother's Days, Christmases, Thanksgiving, they tend to suck.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see someone that's like me suffering, I can't not do something. And so I was like, you know what? What do you want? What can we do for you as a friend group for Christmas? And so you said, I think dinner and Monopoly deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
And so I was like, okay, that's all I need. Great. And so I told you, meet me at the Cigar Lounge at this date. I didn't give you any details. Like, just meet me here. And I think I told you to also get, we're going to do White Elephant.
White elephant. Yeah.
So, $50 gifts or something like that. Anyways, we do that and we eat,
Popeyes, which has a great chicken sandwich.
it's good.
Yeah.
We had Popeyes and we had a great time. We played Monopoly deal for the first time. Okay, cool. And then that kind of started this kinship within the friend group where we really started hanging out all together. And that's when we did those meetings and stuff like that. And as that grew, we all went to your hangar for the first time we went to your hangar. And at that hangar, because I've been asking to see photos of him when he was younger, he pops out the photos. He's showing me all the photos, his relatives, his ex-girlfriend, stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. The bachelor party, too much of that bachelor party. And
Steve, you're in trouble, buddy.
and then he's
never gonna have.
and then he shows this one photo of his father, and he's like staring at it. You were staring at it. I remember you staring at it, and you were just like, wow. It was either like you haven't seen it in a while, or you didn't even know that it was in there, but you were staring at it. You were having a moment. And once I clocked that, I was like, let me see that photo. And then you went away to go get it. And then I went to Rye Dog. I was like, print this out immediately. I want a big ass photo of it. We're gonna give it to him. And so he got it done. I think you were leaving for a trip, so I knew I wanted it done that week. And so I was like, I told you, like, show up Thursday. I got something for you. And you're like, okay. So you show up Thursday. I have you close your eyes and go like this with your hands. And then I tell you, okay, here it is.
I was worried at that point.
Yeah. I tell you here to grab it, and you grab it. And then I was like, open your eyes. And then it was this, Rye Dog did a great job, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
Got to give credit where credit's due.
A huge blow up photo of that you were holding, and in a really nice frame. And, yeah, I mean, this guy couldn't stop staring at it. He placed it. We took photos with it. And now we're going to do, this week, we're going to do the coronation of the photo, and you're going to get German beers.
Well, Greek beers.
I mean, Greek
We're
beers.
going to have Greek beers because, I mean, the audience knows about me. I'm not a big drinker.
No, you're not.
But I every once in a while, special occasions, or like if I'm out like in a city like New York or London and I'm at a steakhouse, I'll have a glass of wine or something.
Yeah, I thought you were going to do a Camus.
Not for this. I think it's a Greek beer.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we do is a Greek beer.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna put it. We got a wall cleared out for it in the hangar. It's gonna be, and it's actually gonna be where Thea Christine lives.
Yes.
So
You're going to have it face it.
Christine, they're
Yeah.
gonna face each other.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep an eye on each other.
Yeah.
And true story, her daughter used to struggle with math. Couldn't do math to save her life. And my dad was a very talented engineer, like idiot savant in terms of math. I mean, it was amazing. He literally was a rocket scientist, put men on the moon. So he used to go out of his way. If anybody that knows New York, he would go from his job in Manhattan up to Riverdale, tutor her, and drive back to Long Island
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah.
Like, that was dedication. It's the kind of guy he was.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we're getting away from your story here.
Well, I think that's a great story.
But I feel like this is a therapy session. I didn't expect to share this much, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
What if we talk? You can't talk to me and not go deep. I hate small things.
Okay, so let's switch back to, you clearly have become successful in the shorts world. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I think we got to show you've been somewhat behind the scenes of the MotoMan strategy at this point.
A little bit.
Yeah. You helped.
But you've definitely taken the reins.
Well, yeah, I defined what I call a very comprehensive short form strategy, not just shorts. So the shorts, there'll be 2 clips channels, and there's a clear line of demarcation. The look and feel was very much me,
100%.
but the pacing was 100% you.
And I think the biggest thing that I can do for you is you're a perfectionist.
Oh,
and there's
both.
stages when it comes to content creators. It's figuring out the game or becoming a player, as you say. But once you're a player, don't focus on becoming a player more. Now focus on how you're actually going to play the game, right? And make strategic decisions there. And I was telling you, like, okay, you got 80% of what it takes to be a content creator, and you're spending all this time to perfect that last 20%. Where if you then try to focus on, take all that time you're spending on this 20% on the business of how you can be managing your content to make it more effective, you see so much more reward. That's like the biggest thing that I'm trying to like. And I think you did it.
Yes. I don't want to say I'm perfect at it. There's still times when I push them hard, like we just today. They kind of screwed up on a very important short, and I pushed them hard on probably something I should have not pushed them on. But for the most part, I am being a little bit more efficient about it, because
That's right.
the throughput is like, it's a different business.
Yeah.
And the biggest lesson I've taken from it, it's, believe it or not, become more freeing. It has allowed me to let the main channel be the main channel. What I originally set out to do 16 years ago. Yeah. Extraordinary Adventures, Ordinary Car Guy Extraordinary Adventures. It's nothing but either cool cars, high value cars, high tech cars, unique adventures, which you're going to see here pretty soon. But I don't have to feed the beast anymore with all the nondescript crossovers. But what I learned is, on the short side, that's discovery.
Yeah.
So now I can try
fun.
all these nondescript crossovers. I don't have to worry about telling you a story. I can just authentically tell you, I don't like this, and I like that. Granted, I've always been honest, which has gotten me in a lot of trouble with car manufacturers. But what you taught me is, like, cut right to the authenticity. Like, the pacing was hugely important, and that's now has paid dividends.
Yeah. No fat.
No fat.
No fat.
No fat.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you're the one who was saying, forget about like a near a minute or over a minute. You're like, how about 40 seconds?
Yeah.
Which has been an important lesson.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, again, I feel like this is a therapy session for me. When we turn it back to you, where do we go from here? Where does Reed go from here?
Where do I go from here? I'm focusing on acting right now. That was like a door that got open about 2 years ago. And kind of what I've been learning about, what I've learned like the last 10 years about how to become successful in something I've been using with acting. And I've been trying to build relationships, network as much as possible, grow my skills as an actor. It's a new thing to get to 80% to, and it's very fun.
Tell them who you had cigars with in Nashville. And I don't mean Michael.
Who did I have some? I had
Sensei Crease.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was a
I
great.
am so, actually, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
I had cigars with him before you did.
You did.
I
you
did.
Yeah, you had a photo of it too.
But I didn't go to his house. I didn't get a
No.
personal invite to his house.
Did you have his cigar?
I had a cigar with him. I sat with
Did you have
him and-
his cigar?
I had his cigar
That's
with
good.
him
Yeah.
overlooking the Pacific Ocean in Malibu.
Oh, okay. You have nothing to complain about then.
No, you got invited to his house.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I did get signed pictures from my nephew. My nephews and I. They know every single line from Karate Kid 2
Because of you.
because of me. So like, when I go up there, it's the same greeting. It isn't like, oh, I missed you. It's so coward, you return. I have come to see father. First you see father, then you see me. And they've got it down perfectly. They sound like Sato.
I want to see this. in
They're
person.
there.
I want to see this in
I
person.
love it. I mean, they're
Yeah.
amazing. Anyway, I'm going to turn this around.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched a whole episode of my podcast, but this is how we end.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And I actually did tell you about what's coming here. What are the 3 aspects, 3 lessons, 3 people, could be a combination of all that led to the success of Reed Choi? And that audience needs to know there's an audience over there, Discord, that's probably waiting like, okay, what? We want to know. We want to know. Crying lions want to know.
Okay. I got 3 people. The first one is my aunt.
Bess. She's
Yeah.
awesome.
If it weren't for her, a woman taught me how to be a man. Funny enough. Like
How? Explain that to me.
she's the one that taught me that like a man should walk on the car side of a sidewalk and the woman should be, keep it safe, or
Yeah.
just stuff like that, and chivalrous stuff like that I learned from my aunt. And then Ron, he's my big age.
And you met him in the Navy?
No, I met him at a church. He was the only white guy at the Korean church that I was going to.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And
this isn't Ron.
that's not Ron. That's not Ron. Yeah. But he's the one that told me that, or that taught me that it was okay to be mad at what I was going through.
Okay, man.
Yeah. And
But it can't consume you.
no, it can't
That's the
consume.
catch. Can't consume you.
But he didn't judge me for what I was going through because he knew what I was going through. And so instead of like having all this advice or, you got to forgive or X, Y, and Z, he's just like, yeah, that sucks. And sometimes you just need to hear it like, yeah,
Sometimes you do.
it sucks, man. And so,
Develop the skin of an alligator and move on.
yeah, which he did both with.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the first year or so that I knew him, it was just all softness. And then move on. And once I moved on and stuff like that, now he's just like a good spiritual mentor that we can talk to about anything.
And number 3.
Number 3, funny enough, you know a guy named Tim Ferriss?
Tim Ferriss.
He's an author.
Yeah.
And now
I
a
do know.
podcaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I hadn't read his book, The 4-Hour Work Week, he had this thing, and we talked about this before, about dissecting your goals, kind of like how to eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't read that book, I would have never done the meal modeling thing and then becoming a chef, because he has a book called 4-Hour Chef. And he's a meta learner.
And have you met him? Or it's just through the
In
book?
person? No, but we've had a correspondence online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1, clearly Como Soon. Totally get that.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Ron.
Yeah.
And number 3 is some nebulous author who
Tim
you've
Ferriss.
never met in person before.
Uh-huh.
Has led to the success of Reed.
Yes, absolutely. It's weird.
Brother, can't thank you enough for this. Not only have I enjoyed sharing you with my audience, but I've enjoyed what you brought into my life.
I love you.
Love you too.
Leave in.
You know, we didn't tell him about the reason why we go to that church. The recent experience we had.
Easter. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm the name of the church.
yeah, I know. So we decided to go to this church together long before Easter, and it finally becomes Easter service. And so we were like, you know what? Let's show up like 10 minutes early. So we both showed up 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
That was not nearly close.
No.
No, that thing was packed outside the building.
And they had different setups for different parts to like
They're streaming it outside.
streaming it in 2 places outside the campus.
And so we decided to stand inside the building. And about 5 seconds in, was it you or me? That were like,
You hatched this idea.
okay, I think, okay, then it was like, I was like,
Before you say this, I do need to say that I went to church every single day that week. So I was there.
yeah.
And I was mad because I put the time in and everybody else, they're the ones that come once a year. So go on.
So 5 seconds in, I was like, I don't think I said anything. I think I just looked at you and I was like that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah. And so we, at first we were going to go to our lounge.
Yeah.
But
But it
then,
was during the day.
yeah. And so and then you either texted me or while we were walking, I was like, you want to just go to your hangar?
Yeah.
And I was like, absolutely. And so we drove there separately. So on the way back to your hangar, we were watching the live stream of the service and it was good.
Great.
Great singer and all that.
So the music was incredible.
Yeah. And then we got to your hangar, and we had like 20 minutes left of that of that service. And we're just smoking cigars, having a good time.
So we streamed and cigars on Easter Sunday.
It was awesome.
Brother, thank you.
That's our relationship right there. That's like the perfect
That is
embodiment. Yeah.
of our friendship.
Yeah.
Until
Christ and cigars.
Christ and cigar. But no cars yet. Until we see you in the next episode, be später.
Bis später.